Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, I'm Ritchie.
And welcome to the Serviced Accommodation Podcast. So today we're going to be talking about maintenance. It's another one of those episodes when we first looked at it, we went, I don't know, how much are we going to be able to talk about that?
5 minutes will be done with this?
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah,
we've got
lots
a lot
of notes
to talk about today on this,
Definitely,
haven't we?
yeah.
But I think the first and most important thing with maintenance is the biggest benefit we've ever had from stuff we've done in and around maintenance, which has been separating out, hasn't it?
Yes, splitting it into two lots of types of maintenance, where you've got the scheduled maintenance and then you've got the emergency maintenance. So scheduled maintenance, what it says on the tin, in the name, it's scheduled. You have it on a weekly basis, on a fortnightly basis, and it's scheduled maintenance, which is to look after the property and maintain the property. And then the emergency ones are the ones where, it's an emergency. Something's gone wrong with the boiler, or something's gone wrong.
Something which is going to seriously impact the guest stay, I think.
Yes,
probably the criteria.
Whilst the guest is present, or just prior to their arrival.
And I think without this split, then you kind of get trapped in the thinking that everything is emergency and everything needs dealing with straight away. But when you sit down and work out what emergency means to you and what stuff you should be dealing with straight away and what stuff can be dealt with, whether it's a couple of times a week, couple of times a month, just on scheduled work to be done, then it does make a big difference. Yeah,
the scheduled work, actually scheduling work saves a lot of money because you're not paying for rapid response times from the rapid response expectancies from the maintenance teams. You're not paying for that. It's going to cost a lot more money. Out of hours calls. But if you've got scheduled maintenance, you spot there's a problem or there's an issue and this needs to be resolved and this needs to be done on this the regular basis, and it's checked when the orders get carried out. You save a lot of money as opposed to just being reactive as opposed to being proactive.
Definitely. So that's it. Episode over. There's our key tip.
I said it's going to be less than 5 minutes, didn't we?
Yeah. Cool. So what else do we have to share with people today, Ritchie?
So after deciding which issues need resolving immediately and which ones are scheduled or which ones can wait, then you have different team roles within the team of who deals with what and when. So for scheduled maintenance, that role and responsibility is kind of undertaken by our handyman. And our handyman is a person who's not specialised in a specific area, or he might have a speciality, but then he's an all-rounder, or he or she's an all-rounder. Our handyman, does the painting. We've got small jobs like small repairs, plastering. Property needs plastering. The property's been dented, or the stud walls just had a water hole in there that needs plastering and painting. Our handyman does that. Our handyman also does gardening. So it does the rooting and clears up stuff, or when people put rubbish in the wrong bins and the recycling bins aren't collected, our handyman goes and picks them up and takes them over to the dump. So it's all areas really, even things like aerials, where you have problems with reception in the property and he has to go do the aerial. So as you can see, that's an all-round job, not just gardening. You've got the painting, you've got kind of electrical side of things as well. Our scheduled maintenance is done by our handyman, which is an all-round task.
And because they're able to do a lot of different things, it saves a lot of money because you can have one person around and tick 3 or 4 things off a list at the same time.
Money and time, 100%.
And over time, there's been some tasks which a handyman used to do, which we've now managed to pass along to the cleaners, hasn't there?
Yes, minor tasks which don't require that amount, that high level of skill. Things like
light bulbs.
Like when the cleaner's doing the checklist, they check to see if light bulbs are all working, and if light bulbs aren't working, they can replace light bulbs because they've got the spares in the property in the storage, and things like remote control batteries. We don't need to call a handyman now to go and change remote control batteries. So it's small things like that.
Yeah. And again, that saves even more money because you're not having to get anyone out at all. It's someone who'd be on site anyway, just quick check, 30 seconds later. That's it.
For example, we had an issue, I saw it on Slack, on the Ops cleaning channel. And the cleaners had posted an image of a table and they were complaining that the previous guests had moved it from one room to the other. And they asked the property manager, what are we meant to do with this? It's here. And he said, pick it up, put it sideways, move it outside that door, take it to the other room, and put it down again. I just laughed my head off. There was no response to that, but
micromanagement there as well.
Yes,
Real process-based outsourcing.
Most certainly is. They take care of the small items, any small repairs, any minor things like that. That don't really require a high level of skill. And then we move on to the emergency maintenance. This is kind of, well, not kind of, it's completely different to scheduled maintenance because as you
Stuff
say,
which needs sorting out
yeah,
straight away.
it's reactive. It's not proactive. It's reactive, and yeah, you need to have a process in place. The people who's responsible for this role, who takes care of that, and it's usually kind of specialized role where people have specialists within their industries. Things like.
Well, I mean, the one which jumps out to me is plumber because
boiler
100%. Is probably number one issue.
Oh yes, yeah, boilers, and we know winter time, winter now, so we're going to have lots of those issues, 100%.
Always fun, right?
Yes, the start of winter always comes up. Yeah. Last year we had a terrible winter and we had lots of issues with boilers.
Well, I think we had like 7 in a week. Or something
yeah.
It was ridiculous. It really was.
Yeah, and if the heater's not working, you got things like leaks. You touched on the plumber. That's it. Yeah, blockages and drains need unblocking.
And most of those things are like emergency tasks, aren't they? Like for plumber. So if the heating's not working, that's an emergency.
That's an emergency.
If there's a leak, it's an emergency. If there's no water, it's an emergency. You know, everything there really is stuff which needs to be dealt with straight away.
ASAP. Yeah. So you need to have like I said, the person who's responsible for that role has to be available as and when. You know, if they're not available, they have to have a team in place that they can outsource and get someone else to come and do the work. And like you say, responsive things like a broken shower. If a shower breaks, that needs to be sorted out ASAP, so you need someone out there straight away.
Yeah, you're going to have very smelly guests. Right?
Unhappy and smelly guests, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, in fairness, you wouldn't want to go somewhere and not be able to shower. It's kind of a fundamental.
It depends who you are, but yeah. You wouldn't want to go somewhere and not be able to shower.
Right, so you're trying to say it's scheduled maintenance, are you, Ritchie?
Scheduled maintenance, that's the one.
Oh, dear.
The other specialist area that emergency maintenance person might cover is locksmith. Like if the locks break, if they can't open up a door, if they lose the key or the key breaks, then we don't have many doors that need those, but we do have some doors that need keys.
Yeah, and even the electronic ones can break.
Oh yeah, they do mess up. Yeah.
So access to the property clearly an emergency situation.
Yeah, 100%.
Needs dealing with very quickly, right?
Yeah, needs dealing with ASAP and electrical issues like the fuse box, and there's just a trippage within the fuse box. And what people tend to forget about trips is that the reason that trips is trying to protect you so that electricity doesn't keep on flowing. Otherwise, there is some form of danger in the property. So if you keep on flicking on, turn it on, and keeps tripping, there is a problem. So you need an electrician to pop out there, and that's a specialist role, and yet again, an emergency role.
Definitely.
Yeah. Another area within emergency maintenance, which is not a specialist area, and our handyman tends to do this, is doing things like broken blinds, where you got guests over there, someone pulls the curtains or someone breaks the blinds, and that needs to be dealt with straight away.
Well, if it's a bedroom, certainly, you know.
Oh yes,
people have trouble sleeping.
You don't say, if it's a bedroom, 100% needs to be sorted out straight away. And then we also have things like, I know we touched on keys with the locksmith, but if the maintenance guy has got a spare set of keys and they can get them cut, or it's just their job to go and deliver the keys to the guest, then so be it, they can go and do that.
Say lost keys.
Yes, in case of lost keys, when the keys are lost, they can just replace them.
Yeah, definitely without needing a locksmith, because spares, etc., etc.
Yeah. And you don't really need a specialist for broken furniture. If the cabinet breaks or a screw just pops out, it just needs a bit of maintenance. We had one a few weeks ago where the guest sent in and just sent a long message on Airbnb like, "Oh, we're having problems in your property. We've been here 2 days, and it's dangerous because the wardrobe door just broke." Or like, a wardrobe door just broke, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the chest of drawers as well. Something's happened. I think they've collapsed." When my children were playing in the room, I thought, "Oh, okay, you can tell exactly what's happened there." Yeah. But the maintenance guy went over there and he sorted it out. It was just kids playing in a room and just being very destructive. But we didn't need a specialist for that. We just got our handyman guy to go and sort it out. Yeah.
So you mentioned the handyman before, but actually we've got a couple of handymen, don't we?
Yeah. I mentioned handyman, it was plural. E.
Okay, if some work comes in which needs to be done then, which is scheduled maintenance, then how would you decide which person gets the job?
We've got a person where we've been working with this gentleman for a few years now, and his availability is not great. So we know that if you book things in advance with him, he's got his specialist area. So when you work with handymen, you tend to find what their speciality is, and when certain jobs come up, you push it down this person's route. If it's not an emergency, we've got especially the guy I'm talking about. He's a specialist when it comes to the electrical side of things. And when it comes to the constructive side of things, he's very good at that. Those two. So we know that if any job comes up that needs that doing, we know that we're going to be pushing it to him. And his availability is about a week or so. So that falls into scheduled maintenance probably easily. And then we've got another maintenance guy who's our main handyman. His availability is like that. He's always available, the click of a thumb. And if he can't do it now, he'll be able to do it in a few hours time or before the end of the day. So we know that that's sorted. And if he can't do it, he's got someone else he works with who will be able to do that. And worst case scenario, if neither of those people are available, we do have another handyman. They tend to charge a bit more, but their availability is second to none. Every time, they're always available.
Is that because it's a business?
It's a bigger business, yeah. And then they've got people within. They've got different teams in their business, so they're handymen, but then they've got electricians, they've got plumbers, they've got everyone within their business. So, but they are responsive within an hour, but then you have to pay for that service. So we know that come what may, we've got the reliability, we'll be able to resolve any issues that arise, but we got to pay the price for it.
And it's great to have that as a backup option, really, isn't it? You wouldn't necessarily want to use it for all of your day-to-day maintenance, but it's a great option to have there, if no one else is available.
You got to have backups and backups to your backups, 100%, yeah.
So if we think about the workflow then of a kind of typical maintenance type job, then actually the first point of that is reporting, e.g. when we initially become aware of the problem.
So first points of call where people who come in contact with the issue are the cleaners. And it's about empowering them to spot issues and report issues and spot the maintenance issues and make the relevant teams aware of that. And we also have regular audits on the properties where the property manager goes over there or the hospitality manager goes to the property, spots the cleaning issue or any maintenance issues and then reports them to the relevant team. So the good thing with audits and regular audits is that, maintenance issues get spotted when issues arise and that, but then with regular audits, things like the wear and tear, the little things that you might miss that become the norm, the little things that you might miss always pop up in audits. So and those things are dealt with scheduled maintenance. And the reason we have carry out these audits, obviously, to make sure the guest has the best experience, but what you don't want is the guest reporting an issue, like an issue that could have been spotted by the cleaner or that could have been spotted on an audit, and having to deal with it as a responsive issue, whereas you could have scheduled it accordingly and resolved it before any issues arose. Yeah,
because there's a couple of things there really, isn't it? First of all, if it's got to the point where guests having to report it to you, then it's clearly impacted the quality of their stay.
Yes, yeah.
And that's not a great thing, but I think it also doesn't reflect well on you as a business.
You're not doing your job.
Detail to actually spot this before.
Yeah. That's why you have these processes and procedures in place so that, everything is dealt with accordingly prior to the guest arriving.
Cool, so now that a job's been reported to us and that we're aware that it needs doing, so how would we normally go through the quoting process so that we know, when the work's going to be done, how much it's going to cost, that type of thing?
So we have different types of jobs and different types of trades that we work with. So some trades on some jobs will quote in advance where we get in contact with them, or property manager gets in contact, lets them know what work needs doing and where, when it needs doing, and then they'll give us a quotation for it, so for the bigger jobs. And we've also got other trades that we work with that we've established a long-term relationship with. And with these guys, we're happy for them to work on an hourly basis. And this is usually the smallest type of jobs. So things like painting a property, then that's how our usual handyman, and we trust him, and he works, but he works on an hourly basis. Whereas the bigger, more complex jobs like boiler issues where someone has to actually go there, that's a call out to begin with, and then they have to diagnose what the problem is, and then they might have to order parts and then resolve and turn the gas. There's a lot more involved in that, so that's a bigger job, and you tend to get a quotation in advance where they go and diagnose the issue, and then they give you the quotation there and then. And like I said, call out charges do apply in things like emergencies like boilers, where people go before they actually find out what the problem is, they charge you for their time and their call out fee. I did mention the difference in the prices. The people you've built an established relationship with, where they charge on an hourly basis, it works out cheaper. But then for new trades that you don't know and have an established relationship with, it's actually best to do fixed pricing.
But of course you have to have that kind of trust relationship first, like you say, don't you?
Yes, 100%.
So in terms of getting the work done, if we think about emergency maintenance, I guess one of the things is it's quite likely that there's going to be a guest in the property at that point.
Yeah.
So how do we go about dealing with that?
So with the emergency maintenance, the guest might have reported this issue, or this issue has been picked up just prior to the guest arriving when the property's been checked over, so the last guest left. We usually get our guest comms person to speak to the guest, liaise with the guest, find out what time they'll be available, or what's the best time for the people to come in and sort out this issue, and arrange the time. And sometimes the guests don't want to be there, whereas other guests sometimes want to be there because it's their personal belongings. They don't know us that well. So we then, the guest comms person agrees this with the guest, agrees the time slot and when this will be happening. And then we then get the guest comms person to send an email out just to confirm this in writing, an email or a text. So we've got it officially in writing and it's on our system that we send this at this time, and no one can deny that.
Yeah, especially if it ends up becoming a dispute, for instance.
Yes, yeah.
Then you've got clear evidence if the OTA
100%.
gets involved to say, well, you can see a record of this here.
Yes, yeah. And that then empowers our guest comms person then pass that message on to our maintenance team or the trades team, so that they arrive within a certain time window, and they know that they've got X amount of time. And if they need more time with the property, to liaise with the guest communication person, and then they can liaise with the guest and let them know as well.
I think it is very important, isn't it? Because we do want our guests to feel like they're kind of got a home-like experience when they're staying in our properties. And obviously having someone come in from the outside, which is not under your control.
Invasion, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. Whether it's maintenance or whether it's scheduled cleaning, that type of thing, we've got to be very careful around the guests to make sure we position it in the right way that they're comfortable.
Yeah, like you touched on with the cleaning. Scheduled cleaning as well. That's exactly what we do. Guest comes first and gets in touch with the guests and to ask when will be the best time for the cleaners to go in. Sometimes some guests want to be there, but majority of the time they don't. But it's always good to then put that in writing, say that we've agreed this for this time slot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the main differences with scheduled maintenance is that because you can choose when to do the work, you're probably going to aim for a time when there aren't guests in the property.
Yes, you're going to try and get a time when people have just checked out, and you might not have a check-in that day, or you've got a check-in later on that day, and it gives the maintenance guy a certain window, a time frame for them to do the work. So we usually have people check out at 10. And then check-ins from about 4 o'clock. So that's a massive window for the maintenance people to go and do jobs within that. And so what the guest comms person will do is just liaise with the property manager to find out as and when the property's going to be empty, and if it's an ideal time for the maintenance guys to go and sort out any issues, and they'll sort them out then. But if not, if the property is not empty and scheduled working still needs to be done, then you deal with it like an emergency. Same procedure, same process, same communication. That's it.
Okay.
And then an email after agreeing a time and a place. Yeah,
brilliant.
So after the work's been carried out, be it emergency or scheduled maintenance, then we tend to get someone to go and check up on the work, so sign it off before anyone gets paid. So it can be a cleaner, it can be another member of staff, but it depends on the level of job. If it's a bigger job, then the property manager will take time out and go and see the property and look at the issue, see if it's been resolved, and also communicate that to the guests and check if the guests are happy, and if they're happy with it, sign the work off before anyone gets paid. So speaking of payments, trades do like good payers. So first and foremost, can you pay upon receipt of invoice, like immediately upon receipt of invoice? But then it depends what level of trade you're dealing with, because once some bigger, well-established companies have a 14-day turnaround, as in that's their payment window, or they might, or the longer you work with other smaller independent trades, then the more of a chance you speak to them and you can give them a contract, and your payment terms might be 7 days, might be 14 days. So and to be honest, having those payment terms, like a payment term window, is really, really good for business. We operate service accommodation. That's a cash flow in business. So if you're paying every invoice upon receipt, that could seriously have a little dent on your cash flow. Whereas
and the time it takes as well.
Oh yes, the time,
Rather than doing a kind of weekly run on payments, that type of thing.
Yes, where your bookkeeper's just doing a weekly roll, just doing that, then that'll be fine because it's scheduled work within their time frame.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we go about managing maintenance work then?
Yes, in our company, our property manager oversees the whole process and manages the maintenance teams. However, it doesn't have to be the property manager in your company. It can be another member of staff. It can be head of maintenance who deals with that. So it can be different in other roles, but in other companies. But yeah, our property manager directly manages the maintenance team. He's built good relationships with the maintenance teams. He's built good professional relationships, should I say, with the maintenance teams, because there's that saying where, familiarity breeds contempt. And honestly, you have to be careful how you deal with certain people and how close you get to certain people within your industry. So he's built a really good relationship with them, a good professional relationship with them, and the communication within the team is clear. You know that this person is doing that, this person is doing that. You know what every person on the team is doing, and it's very professional. But like I said, it doesn't have to be your property manager. It can be someone else in your business. And the other thing to look out for, he manages these processes really well, because you've got people who do regular jobs on a constant basis, just same job over and over and over again. With monotonous jobs, people sometimes get too familiar and they just get too comfortable, and they don't tend to do it to the level that they did it last time or the level they used to do it. So it's about monitoring these things, and that's where audits and KPIs come into place. And
process is very important.
Yes. So you got to have a process, and our property manager's got a process that he follows. But like I said, it can be anyone within your business, as long as they got a process to follow, and they keeps their process, and it keeps the maintenance team and the business ticking over well.
So speaking of processes, systems are kind of the backbone, really, of any process, aren't they?
100%.
Making sure that something gets done the same way each time. So, like most things in our business, we recommend a combination of Trello and Slack, don't we?
Yes.
So Trello for task-based things, and Slack for communication-based things. So Trello, for instance, we use that for maintenance. So we have a maintenance Trello board where we can kind of keep track of issues as they're submitted. Obviously deal with the emergency stuff straight away, but the scheduled stuff can then go into a list, and once we've got enough issues in and around a property or a certain time window expires, then we can look at getting that all scheduled at the same time.
Yeah, it's a visual system as well, Trello, so you can see, like you just touched on, you can see exactly where everything is within this process, where it is, who's dealing with it. At a glance, just straight away. Yeah, that's what you need to see.
Yeah, and you don't need to be technical, and that's one of the reasons we love Trello, because like you said, it's a very visual representation of what's going on in your business.
Yeah, you don't need to be technical. So you can just, one person, the maintenance guy, can just drag it over there, add notes to what they've done, and then, you know where it is.
And that is, if you're dealing with trades, then, people have different levels of technical ability. So you've got to make sure that you're not dealing with anything too technical in terms of systems. And Trello suits them just fine on that. You can also do stuff like submit photographs on there, so that you've got one record kind of end to end of everything kind of surrounding that.
And videos,
job, really. So any information you need to include on there, the invoicing and quoting, the whole end cycle kind of can go through there.
And you can assign it to the relevant party as well, can't you? Yeah,
absolutely. So we found it a great solution, really, for tracking maintenance. And with communications, again, Slack, we have specific channels on Slack which deal with maintenance issues, and therefore you can have that kind of instant communication with people, which is not something which Trello excels at. It's better at storing, this needs to get done, this is where this is at, here's the information about this, here's the photos or video, where Slack is more okay, I've just arrived at the site, X, Y, Z type thing. Yeah, exactly like you say, instant communication, really.
And people within a channel know exactly who's dealing with what and what's been happening and what's going on within their certain specific channel, isn't it? Instantaneously,
So there we go, that's our 5-minute podcast on maintenance.
More 5 times 10, 50 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. But hopefully lots of useful information in there for you to use in your own serviced accommodation business.
100%. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the Serviced Accommodation Podcast. For more information, please visit thesapodcast.com.